Okay, so it is absolutely insane as to what has been happening with Helldivers, to the insane own goal that Sony scored on themselves with the situation. Just mind-blowing that they went in here and essentially ruined an experience, ruined a game for so many people, where it was their gem for multiplayer. It was PlayStation's game that they can now say that they have a successful, strong games as a service multiplayer game, at least in recent times, because that's really what they have been lacking in their portfolio. So we'll talk about that, plus a bunch of other things. But before we do get into this, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I see about 50% of you are watching the videos on a daily basis, but aren't subscribed. So just click the subscribe button, help the channel grow, would really appreciate that. Also check out my Spotify, link is in the description. Now, Helldivers 2. We talked about this last week, and it was the fact that PlayStation now made it mandatory to have to link a PlayStation account to be able to play this game, where previously you could purchase it on Steam, you didn't have to make another account, and you could have fun playing the game. And it created a massive controversy, and then there was a lot of back and forth about this as to why PC gamers were complaining, because you have to make accounts for other games out there, like a Rockstar account if you want to play GTA, or a Ubisoft account if you want to play Rainbow Six, and all of that stuff was going on. But the biggest thing here with Helldivers 2 was this was not something that was required at launch, and then they just dropped it on people right here. You could say that they did mention that this would have to happen at some point. It was initially going to be there, but they removed it. But obviously, since the launch of Helldivers 2 until now, there really wasn't any communication that this was going to be coming back in. People probably forgot, or it was just something where if you purchased this game, it was not required to launch. Now making people do that is obviously going to cause outrage from the PC gamers specifically, who I would say in general just don't like making accounts, even though they have to with a lot of games. Like I said, GTA and Rainbow Six, I would argue that they're probably annoyed about that as well, but at least it's their launch, so they know before purchasing the game that it's something that they have to do. Now, when I talked about this last week, I was looking at the negative reviews, and there were about 10 or so thousand negative reviews that had flowed in. Hadn't changed the overall, I guess, reception on Steam for the game. It was still at positive. But now it's exploded. It's gone crazy. Over 215,000 negative reviews have hit the game. It is now at mixed reviews. But again, the worst thing of all here is that Helldivers 2 is no longer purchasable in 177 countries because PSN is not supported or available there. Now, with that as well, Steam has said, we'll start giving you refunds for your game because of these changes. So they're going to start even now losing money from people who have purchased the game, let alone people who are now not even interested in buying Helldivers 2 anymore, a game that was just having tons of players concurrently playing. It was an overwhelming success. It had longevity. All of these things were in the favor of Helldivers 2 and for Arrowhead. But then Sony comes in here and enforces something like this, like I said, just to spy on their players, to get their data, get their information. It is not for safety as what they are claiming it is to be, with PSN being hacked all the time. I don't know how much safety you really have on there, but now Steam is even refunding Helldivers 2 if you have over 100 hours played. So we'll see how many people refund the game. That is crazy that this is all happening because of an own goal from Sony. And when it comes to Arrowhead, they say here that, first of all, it's Sony's decision, not ours. Secondly, we don't have all the details about region-related issues. We're chasing Sony to get more info. So they're kind of left out in the cold as to what is happening. But we are seeing with the region stuff that a lot of people just aren't able to play the game. So Helldivers 2, I feel bad for Arrowhead, to be completely honest here, because I really don't think they have much say in this. And if you just look at the fact that most developers wouldn't want to impose this, they don't care. They want as many people to play the game as possible. Obviously, this is a game that was funded by PlayStation. It's a second party deal, I guess you could call it. It's not from a first party PlayStation studio. If they had it their way, they would love their game everywhere. They wouldn't want you have to make any account. All they would want you to do is purchase the game and play it on whatever device that you want. So kind of feel bad here for Arrowhead as PlayStation is doing this. And I think at the same time, they know that PlayStation knows that they want to get as many people into PSN. They want to get as many PC gamers. They want to capture them, as I think that they will be leading up to some sort of app where It's going to be PC, PlayStation, everything's in there, trophies, all that type of stuff, similar to what Xbox has here, where you can pretty much play your games everywhere. I think they're really going to be following that strategy with all of their first party studios and all of their games. So I think for them, they're seeing the amount of people playing Helldivers 2 and they're thinking, hey, we can capture a bunch of PC gamers here, try to get them into the PlayStation ecosystem, and then advertise our games and get them to go out there and try to purchase more of our games when we do release them on PC. I feel like that's one of the main reasons why they would want to do this. And when it comes to another game that is coming out for PC, this is Sucker Punch saying that the Ghost of Tsushima PC port won't require players to create a PSN account for single player mode, only for the Legends Online multiplayer. So if you're not requiring them here, even for the single player mode or needing a PSN account to play this game, you would think that with Helldivers, they launched it. It wasn't required, even though it is multiplayer. You might as well leave it alone and let that game just organically grow. And people are going to look into more PlayStation stuff in the future either way, with all of the PlayStation branding and everything on there. So very odd why they would score this own goal at this time. You think that maybe down the line when there's less players, it was dwindling and they thought, okay, there's less risk here. But now we will see how this game does survive and if people are still going to be playing it a ton going forward. And at least on the PC side of things, if you're on the PS5 playing it, it is going to continue to not really matter because you have to make a PlayStation account anyways. All right, let's jump over here to something a little bit different. Let's talk about Terminator Survivors. This is a new game that was announced. It looked really cool. I think a lot of people are excited as to what this game could end up being. We have some more information here, as it is going to be released on October 24th on PC in early access. And I think this game looks really cool. These screenshots look very promising and this information sounds very good. So it's an FPS running in Unreal Engine 5. As we continue to get UE5 games, we're really going to see the power of that engine and just kind of how that is going to make games look better. There is a single player offline mode, so you don't need an internet connection to be able to play this game in a single player. That alone, I think, will sell it for a lot of people. Multiplayer co-op mode with up to 3 other players. It will feature a rich original storyline and side quest. Takes place in 2009, years after Judgment Day, focusing on humanity's survival. Going back to 2009 is cool. Some great times there, just in gaming in general. Players will cross paths with iconic figures from the Sega as well as fresh faces. Factions form, competing for resources and territory, and very few people know of the events that led to the bombs dropping. Only a few know of Skynet's existence. A single T-800 is hunting you. It's a relentless and formidable hunter that cannot be stopped. It starts out with an existing base that can be customized and expanded with other facilities. There will be drivable vehicles to encourage exploration and tactical thinking. There will be a private play test prior to launch. So here's some of the screenshots. I mean, it looks very cool. Obviously, a big open world base building, gathering of items and resources to survive, and then obviously first person shooter stuff. So I think this one will be pretty cool. I'm excited to see how it all plays out and how the early access does go. May end up checking this one out when it does enter early access. Now, when it comes to another game, another series that I'm a big fan of, that is Tomb Raider, especially with the recent games by Crystal Dynamics. I thought the last trilogy was very well done. And it looks like we're going to be getting another Tomb Raider game. However, this one is seemingly going to be open world. I'm not sure how I feel about that because the other ones were kind of semi-open world, I would say, but linear. You could go through the campaign, you could go off and do side stuff, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't too big in scope and it was just right. So open world, we'll see why they're doing this, maybe to get more playtime out of people and keep people invested in the universe longer. So this is a scoop here from Insider Gaming. It says the next Tomb Raider game is in development, and a new claim has some early information about the game. According to V Scooper, a Twitter user with a history of past scoops, the next Tomb Raider will be a fully open world game. In addition to the open world, the game will be set in India. It's featuring vast sceneries, free use of the motorcycle, parachute, and common Lara traversal methods to unrestrictedly navigate across a big map and its challenges. And they say they doubled down on the claims by saying that more information of the new game should be coming soon. And lastly, that the said game is supposed to release in less than a year if there are no delays, but this is totally not locked. So, I mean, I'm excited for a new Tomb Raider. I think it is time to bring back a new version of this game. I wonder how they are going to really change it though for the open world. I hope it's not just a bunch of fetch quests and smaller running to deliver items as missions for this game. I really hope if it is an open world, maybe a little bit smaller in scope, a lot more detail and a lot more interesting side quests and things that you do with interesting NPCs. But when you start seeing them taking these smaller style of games, these more linear games, and trying to expand them out into open worlds, I feel like it's always to just keep people invested in the universe more, or spend more time in the universe, which takes away, I guess, from the depth of the game itself. But I mean, that's without knowing anything about the game. We'll have to wait and see what they say. And then when we have Resident Evil 9 is going to be the next mainline game. And I've really enjoyed the series. I really enjoyed Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8. So excited for Resident Evil 9. But this sounds pretty crazy as to what they're going for and just the development length and everything. They're targeting a January 2025 release, and the game has been in development for 6 to 7 years, which is a very long development cycle, meaning the cost of this game is probably insane. It's the biggest budget and longest dev time of any RE game, and the reveal should be pretty soon. So, I mean, when you look at the industry and you're seeing the layoffs, you're seeing studio closures and IPs being canceled, one of the main things, I think it's happening because of the length of development, and the ROI of these games is just not there. They're not able to make that type of money back. With Resident Evil, however, it is such a strong, popular IP. They'll probably be able to make their money back, no problem. They'll sell millions and millions of copies of this. So this is something they are banking on as being a huge game to make tons of money and probably keep people, again, invested in it longer, as they are really going for something massive here with Resident Evil 9. And the biggest question here is this going to be another first-person Resident Evil game, or is it going to go back to the third-person camera style? And I mean, the way that the last few games have looked and felt, phenomenal in what they have been able to do. So I'm expecting this game here to blow people away, but I'm excited for whatever the official announcement is. We have the summer showcases coming up. I'm guessing we will see something there, if it is releasing for January 2025, if these rumors are to be believed. And then finally, we have this. This is pretty cool. Nintendo World Championships. If you remember those back in the 90s, 1990, there's the original NES cart for the Nintendo World Championship, which is a very rare cart and something that is extremely collectible if you're ever able to get your hands on it. And it looks like we are going to get a new Nintendo World Championship, but this time for the Nintendo Switch. This says here, according to a description, this is a collection of 2D challenges and platformer games in which players traverse through various modes, speedrun, and survival. Several challenges involve reaching specific points, while others prompt players to defeat small enemies or survive brief battles. And some games depict pixelated characters using small swords or arrows to strike at enemies. Enemies typically get stunned or disappear or in a flash. So it's a brand new Nintendo World Championship game. It isn't obviously the one from the 1990s, but there has been an ESRB rating description of what this game is going to be all about. If you've ever been a fan of this retro stuff, if you've ever been a fan of the Nintendo World Championships, the aura around the collectability and all that stuff, maybe something to keep your eyes on there for the Nintendo Switch. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.